Thank you very much. I would like to call the meeting to order this morning and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Inuit, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Brent McIntyre, and I'll be chairing the panel today. Zooming in is Kent Steeland. And sitting to my right is Ian Mann. Our assessor for today's hearing is Arif Das Mohammed, and our administrative personnel is Jaswinder Kumar. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. Statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues the written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 to 7 on our docket today. And Mr. Kumar, please affirm the assessors and the applicant's testimony. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Arif Das Mohammed.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Marcelo Navarro.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The first item on the docket is 326 Salto Crescent. Are there any preliminary issues with this file? Either party?
No, preliminary. We do have a recommendation. I could enter the specifics into the record.
Okay, just let me get to it. Okay, you can proceed, Arif.
Okay, Board of Revision file number 22-1666. Roll number 0708125550. Roll year is 2023. Reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $4,493,000. After discussions with the applicant, we are willing to revise or recommend a revised assessment of $4,276,000.
And the reason for the reduction?
It's adjusted NOI.
And Marcelo, are you in agreement with the recommendations? Thank you very much. So that concludes that one. The next one is just down the street, 340 Salt Hill Crescent. Any preliminary issues with this?
No.
Marcelo? No. Okay, Arif, you can proceed.
Okay, Board of Revision file number 22-1667. Roll number 0708125430. Roll year is 2023. Reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $5,370,000. After discussions, we are willing to revise assessment and recommend assessed value of $5,200,000. Again, revised NOI.
What is the revised NOI? And I'll have to get it for the previous one.
On our side, it would just be an adjustment in net rent, but I'm assuming that the applicant would probably not be in agreement with how we got that number, but we're agreeing on the cost quantum.
So, but the adjusted rent was
Yeah.
the factor. Okay, same thing with the other one.
Yes.
And can you just give me the NOI on the first one?
Sorry, I haven't got the workup on it. We just worked it out.
Oh, okay. And that one was adjusted rent?
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
can I get the recommendation for Salto 340, Salto Crescent?
5,200,000.
200,000. Thanks. Thank you.
And so, panel members, given the situation, do you want to ask questions on these recommendations?
No, not this time, thanks.
Kent?
Oh, thank you.
The next one is 25 Midland Street. And I understand there's an issue on non-co-op.
Correct, yes. And I just had discussions and I think the applicant is willing to accept the non-co-op penalty.
Yeah, we reviewed it ahead of time. We looked at the mailer that was sent out by the city. We can confirm that the owner has not supplied any income and expense information for a few years, actually. So there's really nothing that we can challenge on this.
Okay, we're going to have read this into the record.
Okay.
And Arif, you're going to have to show us the information you have on the non-co-op.
Okay, yes. Okay, so border revision file number 22-3518. Roll number 130017600000. Address is 25 Midland Street. Roll years 2023. Reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $4,130,000. And in regards to the non-co-op, so you can see on page 2 of my brief that we had sent out income and expense mailers for at least 2020 and 2019. And at the bottom, there's just a note that we haven't had a proper income and expense mailer since 2017. So on appendix page 13 of my brief is the mailer that was sent out.
This is in the appendix.
Yes, appendix 13. The appendix starts after page.
Page 22 of my of the whole brief.
Yeah, page 22.
Okay, so there's the tracking number on top there, LP 657559337CA. And if you turn to page
17.
17 of the appendix, there's the
Canada Post.
Canada Post info with the tracking number and the signature.
Okay, Marcelo, you had agreed to accept the non-co-op.
Yeah. So I did a review of the non-response and made sure that everything matched in terms of the tracking numbers. So I can agree that there was no response in this case. It was mailed out to the correct address. So there's nothing that we can do at this point. There was no response.
Okay. Kent, any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Ian?
No, I don't think you.
And I have no questions. So I'll ask the question, is there a recommendation on this one?
Yes, there is. We are recommending $3,666,000.
$3,666,000.
Yes. And again, adjusted NOI with the change in net rents on our side.
And Marcelo, are you in agreement?
Yes.
So the next one is 1791 Dublin. Any preliminary issues on this one, either party?
No.
No. Okay, is there a recommendation with this?
No, not on this one. We'll just let the board hear it.
Okay, well, then you can proceed.
Okay, Board of Revision file number 22-1493. Roll number is 070107700500. Address is 1791 Dublin Avenue. Roll year is 2023. Reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $4,086,000. So parcel use is industrial warehouse. Number of buildings is 1. Number of premises is 6. Number of stories is 1. Actual year built and effective year built are both 1988. Wall height is 24 feet. Zoning is M2 manufacturing general. The land area is approximately 75,700 square feet. The plan area is approximately 27,100 square feet. Gross floor area is 30,662 square feet. Leasable area is 30,823 square feet. Lack of plan area is 2.79 to 1. So if you turn to my appendix, page 1, which would be after page 7 of the main brief. So there's the map of the subject area. It's located in the northwest quadrant of the city. On page 2 of the appendix is the subject parcel boundaries. And then some overhead shots on page 3 and 4. And 5, top of page 5. And then bottom of page 5 is the street views. And page 6. On page 7, I have the building sections. You'll see that it's one building with 27,142 square feet with a wall height of 24 feet. Page 8 is the income and expense mailer that was submitted. So they're indicating rental revenue of $203,501. If that works out to about $6.60 net per square foot. And then on the following page is the rental roll. You'll note the leasable areas range from about 1,600 square feet to 14,500 square feet. Net rents range from $5.96 to $12 per square foot. And then on page 10 is the COVID questionnaire that they submitted. Now they're indicating there was a significant impact from COVID, but I'm not sure what exactly was that. They're indicating that their expenses increased 100%. I guess it's just for cleaning. And then on page 12, I have the status of title. You'll note on page 14 that there is a transfer of land in the amount of $3.42 million. That was in 2018. Okay, so going back to my comparables on page 3 of the main brief. So all my comparables are industrial flex warehouses, such as the subject. They're all located in the same industrial market region as the subject. All the leases are current in relation to the reference date. Effective year built ranges from 1967 to 1990. Average wall heights range from 16 feet to 22 feet. And leasable areas range from approximately 1,500 square feet to 14,500 square feet. Similar to what is available in the subject. Net rents range from $7 per square foot to $10 per square foot. On the following page is our workup. So we're utilizing an overall net rental rate of $8.16 per square foot. We're utilizing a 7% market vacancy rate, utilizing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 for vacancy shortfalls. This results in an NOI of $218,617. We're utilizing a cap rate of 5.35%. This results in a rounded capitalized value of $4,086,000. So given the strong state of the industrial Winnipeg market over the last number of years, you'll note that in my appendix, both Colliers and CBRE are indicating that the Winnipeg industrial market remains strong and robust and in demand from Q1 2021. Or sorry, from Q4 2020 to Q1 2021, they're indicating that vacancy has been low and stable. Total leasable area has seen a positive absorption. Rent rates have increased. Cap rates have tended lower from Q4 2020 to Q1 2021. And they're also indicating that there's been virtually no impact from the pandemic in the Winnipeg industrial market. And also the sale from 3 years prior to the subject date in the amount from the reference date in the amount of $3.42 million. I believe the assessed value of $4,086,000 to be fair and equitable, and I respectfully ask that the board confirm this value. And I don't have any questions.
Thank you very much. Marcelo, any questions?
Yes, the information and for the valuation is all taken from the model.
Yes,
So no adjustments have been made by you.
no.
Okay. And in terms of the capitalization rate information, 5.535 cap rate, that is, you've noted some brokerage information relating to cap rates, but you have no cap rate information yourself?
No, I did not provide our cap rate study at all.
Okay. And in terms of the rental comparables that you used, those coincide with the smaller areas, correct?
They actually, there's small ones and big ones.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. And okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kent, any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm the blended rental rate.
$8.16 per square feet.
Thank you. That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ian, any questions?
I do with respect to the cap rate. You've got the subject property leases on page 2 of your brief. They all date back, well, with one exception, to around the sale date or prior to the sale date or transfer date of July 1st, 2018. Was a workup done to find out what the cap rate or to determine the cap rate at that time?
Not on this property. I do not believe so. This was a model generated cap rate. And I do agree that it's in the top, 1 to 10% up, or 1 to 20% up.
That was
So
going to be
it may be a little bit on the aggressive side.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
That was going to be my question. But thank you.
Okay.
I have no further questions. Marcelo, you can start with your presentation.
Okay, so this is 1791 Dublin Avenue. If you would turn to page 6 of my brief, you can see the overhead pictures and then the street view picture on page 7. In terms of the approach that we used, we obviously used the income approach. So if you would like to turn to page 12, I can go over the rents that I looked at. So there were some rents in place. Well, actually, all of the units had rents in place. There were 2 adjustments that I made, and that was on the first two leases. So one was adjusted to $7 per square foot, and the second one was adjusted to $6.50 per square foot. The remainders are at $12, $12.60, and $12. Actually, those were adjusted. The third one was adjusted as well. So our blended rate comes out to $7.57. The leases that we looked at were basically in relation to the entire area. So if we're looking at the blended rate of $7.57, that's how we would look at these leases that are below. In terms of the vacancy, we haven't deviated from the model vacancy. So we have applied 7% as well. And if you would turn to page 23, we've applied 4% actually. That gives us an effective market income of $224,142. We've applied a standard industrial shortfall rate of $3.85. There is no vacancy here, so there is no need to adjust the shortfall rate that we have. We have provided a non-recoverable study, and we have kept that 5% in there that we have for previous cycles. And in terms of the capitalization rate that we applied is 6.50%. Now, the remaining information is just the income expense information that was looked at and used in terms of deriving the market rent. However, if you would like me to just briefly skim over some of the non-recoverable, or has everyone heard this?
I certainly have heard it.
Yes.
Kent, have you heard the non-recoverable from Altus? He's off again.
You're mute, Ken.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, well, then you can proceed with the summary.
So the non-recoverable expense allowance is an allowance above and beyond recoverable expenses. Okay. So these are the expenses that are not, that the owner cannot recover. And we've typically laid out the non-recoverables that we look at on page 10. So these are leasing commissions, professional fees, asset management fees, and advertising and marketing. Now, if you look at the previous page, you can see the host of non-recoverable expenses that are usually in an income and expense questionnaire. Now, we're not looking at all of those on page 9. As I mentioned, we simply looked at the ones on page 10. Now, several other jurisdictions actually look at this and use non-recoverable expenses as well. SAMA to the west of us, and Impact to the east of us, which is in Ontario. And in terms of the properties that we looked at on page 11, you can see that we included an average, including TIs and not including TIs. And we came out to slightly different numbers. So if we look at no TIs included, the average is 6.64, the median is 5.98. I don't think it's important to mention the TIs included, because obviously in this case we're not including TIs anyways. The last thing I would mention is that when we calculate our cap rates, typically we will include a 5% non-recoverable adjustment. So when we look at our analysis of the cap rates, if we're not including if we're not including the non-recoverable allowance, then there needs to be an adjustment to that calculation, because every cap rate that we've looked at and calculated includes that 5% non-recoverable. So what we ask the board in most cases, if you're not going to consider that non-recoverable, then please consider an adjustment to the capitalization rate. And lastly, in terms of just one little point, in the past, people have mentioned that, management expenses are included, but these are typically expenses that are not recovered. They're not to be associated with the recoverable management expenses. So that's the last point that I want to make.
Okay, thank you. Arif, any questions?
Yes, please. So just going back to your management expenses there. I saw in your other brief that you had labeled them as management 5%. And so
It's just it's a general term, but it's not being used to associate it with the management expenses that are recovered. So there are management expenses that are recovered, and those are acknowledged. And typically those are in net rents, a recovery, right? That is not to be confused with non-recoverables. And actually the term should just be non-recoverable expenses, not management.
Okay, and just the last question, your vacancy 4%, where did you get that from?
So in our cap rate report, which lays out not just the cap rate, but also the issue of vacancy and bad debt. As a standard,
Do you want to let us know what page you're going to on the cap rate?
sure.
Give us a
So it
moment
would
to get
start in page 5 of the cap rate report.
Kent, have you got that?
Not sure I do. I'm just looking. Is that part of his submission?
It's towards the bottom of the folder.
Yes.
You have it? And Ian?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So this information is taken from Johnson Report, December 2027 report. So we relied on this one to have a look at industrial inventory and vacancy throughout the city. So you can see the composition on page 5. On the next page over, you can see industrial vacancy using the total inventory. And then further to that, starting on page 7, we get basically by building type and district. That continues on through page 8. And on page 9, what we've done is that we've summarized vacancy as reported by the brokerage firms. So after we reviewed that and taking into account collection loss on page 10, we basically summarized that there is a standard 4% vacancy and bad debt allowance that we apply to all properties. So whereas the city, I believe, the bottom of your vacancy for the entire city, I believe the lowest one is 3.5%. I could be wrong, but I believe 3.5 is the lowest one. And then there are some that are up to 7% in some areas.
Well, this one was 3%. So
Right.
it was just,
Oh, sorry,
yeah.
3% then it's the lowest. So our basement is basically 4%. And that includes vacancy and bad debt.
Okay, those are all my questions.
Thank you. Kent, any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
And Ian.
I have a question with respect to the relationship you're drawing between cap rates and the non-recoverable expenses. The non-recoverable expenses, if added in, reduce the net operating income. Is that?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah.
If the net operating income is reduced in the mathematical formula with respect to value leading to a cap rate, that's going to lead to a lower cap rate.
Correct.
And
So-
conversely, mathematically, if it's not included, the high NOI leads to a lower cap rate.
If we have a higher NOI, like you just spoke about,
Right.
if we exclude the non-recoverable, what that does is it lowers the NOI, thus decreasing the cap rate. The reverse happens if you keep it in. It increases the NOI and increases the cap rate. So when we say we're going to remove the NOI, effectively in our calculations, what that's doing is lowering the cap rate. So we have to, in our opinion, make an adjustment on the cap rate to account for the removal of that 5% or whatever it may be. That is the logic of the adjustment that we're asking.
And then the cap rates with respect on a slightly different tack, the cap rates then and the, well, with cap rates aside from it, the non-recoverable expenses then are a generalization or statistical average of what's going on or what you gleaned from the various reports.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Similarly, with respect to the cap rate, that's a, for want of a better word, a modeled cap rate based on what has happened with respect to some of the other properties between 2018 and 2020.
Sure. I mean, if you look at the cap rate report and look at the number of sales that we looked at, they may bear no relationship to what we're looking at today, or they may. It's a small sample, but it gave us an idea of how much cap rates were changing. But we also relied on brokerage reports to see exactly what the change was in capitalization rates. So the reason that we also put in the cap rates that we used in the previous cycle is that it serves as a kind of a barometer in letting us know exactly how much we should be shifting those cap rates moving forward. Now, on the topic of cap rates, there is some agreement between us and the assessment department, because if you look at the cap rate ranges, they very much coincide with what the assessment cap rates are. Like, we have a non-investment grade category that is above 8, which we've observed the assessment department having also. I mean, we've observed some that are above 9 actually coming out of the model, and we've calculated some over 9 as well. Not maybe in this sampling, but we have calculated some that were, as close to 10 even. So there is a lot of agreement in terms of the lower side of the cap rate chart. You'll see the A class and B class. Even there, you don't see much of a difference between what the assessment department is saying in terms of the cap rates for A class and B class. Slight, but from our perspective, from last cycle to this cycle, we've, at the very extreme, we've only observed a 50-point increase or decrease in the cap rate, and on average 25. So for the B classes, we've really only observed about a 25-point decrease in the cap rate. There is that special category of properties that are in the A class that include these logistics and warehousing properties that are on the outskirts of that map that you see in the cap rate report. So there's a lot of activity in those areas, and we will acknowledge that some of those properties are far beyond what you see in the interior of the city. They are the newest of the new, and those properties would probably if sold in the market, exceed what we have in the charts simply because there's really no examples of them that we've looked at this point, but they are built far superior to that, to what we're seeing inside the city of Winnipeg for the most part, except there have been some new builds in Winnipeg that are at that level, but we'll acknowledge that for those types of properties, likely the increase or the decrease in the cap rate is probably legitimate. The market has improved for those types of properties. For your average property, industrial property, you know, starting from maybe the mid 60s to the late 80s, I think those types of properties are in that B class range for the most part in Winnipeg. Obviously, there's some that will not fit that perfectly, but most are in that B class, and that is where most of Winnipeg's industrial market is. It's in that B class, and we think it ranges between 6.5 and 7.0. And for the most part, I think we have a lot of consistency even with the assessor. The only time that we've had any disagreement with them is when we're seeing cap rates that are in the 5 range or even below that. We've seen a few that are below 5%. And we have a hard time understanding those. So generally in those cases, what we'll do is we'll back it up by using a cost approach. I don't know if you've seen it in the past. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and I have no questions. So that concludes this property. The next one on the docket is 645 Century Street. Any preliminary issues on this one? Marcel?
Nope.
Okay, Arif, you can proceed.
Okay, Board of Revision file number 22-2358. Roll number 0700188300. Address is 645 Century Street. Roll year is 2023. Reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $3,907,000. Parcel use code is industrial warehouse. Number of buildings is 3. Number of premises is 5. Number of stories is 1. Actual year built and effective year built. Basically, both range from 1958 to 1976. Wall heights range from 12 feet to 18 feet. Zoning is C2 community. Land area is 59,156 square feet. Plan area is approximately 27,700 square feet. Gross floor area is 29,527 square feet. Leasable area is 28,792 square feet. Land to plan area is 2.13 to 1. If you turn to my appendix, page 1, which is page right after page 7 of the main brief. There's the subject map. It's again in the northwest quadrant of the city. That would be St. James Industrial. Right underneath that is the subject parcel boundaries. And then the subject aerial views are on page 2 and 3. And then on page 4 is the street views. And page 5 is the building section. So there's 3 buildings there. You'll note that there's only 5,500 square feet that are 12 feet. The wall height is at 12 feet, and the rest are at either 17 or 18. I believe that would be about sorry, give me 1 second. And so approximately 18% is at 12 feet wall height, and 81% is at 17 to 18 feet of wall height. And then on page 6, I have some permits. They date from 2005 to 2018 for a total of $944,000. And then on page 7 is the income and expense that was submitted. So you'll note page 7 at the top, it is net rents that they're charging. And then on page 9 to 10 is the COVID supplemental questionnaire they answered, and you'll note that they're indicating there was a moderate impact, but they haven't clarified what that impact was. On page 10, they indicate that there was some rent reduction. And then on page 11, I have from LoopNet, they just have a description of the property. So this was from 2005, 2008. And then on page 14 is a 2011 listing, and you'll note that listing there indicates that they were looking for a rent of $14 per square foot net rent. And then on page 15 is a 2009 listing, and there they were indicating $8. So you'll see that the rent went up from 2009 to 2014. And then finally on page 16 is another, I'm sorry, I don't have the date of that listing, so I won't even mention it. Yeah, so going back to my comparables on page 3. So all comparables are industrial flex warehouse properties such as the subject and are located in the same industrial market as the subject. All leases are current in relation to the reference date. Effective year build ranges from 1963 to 1988. Wall heights average from 11 feet to 21 feet. Leasable areas range at different intervals from approximately 1,400 square feet to 11,500 square feet, in a similar fashion to the available space in the subject property. Net rents range from $7 to $14 per square feet. And then on page 4 is our workup. So we're utilizing an overall net rental rate of $10.08 per square feet. We're utilizing a 7% market vacancy rate. We're utilizing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 for vacancy shortfall. This results in an NOI of $253,928. We're utilizing a cap rate of 6.5%. This results in a assessed capitalized value and assessed value of $3,907,000. So again, given the strong state of the Winnipeg industrial market over the last number of years and the foreseeable future, I believe that the assessed value of $3,907,000 to be fair and equitable. And I respectfully ask that the board confirm this value. And I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Marcel.
And again, this is model.
Yes.
Okay. So in terms of the capitalization rate, 6.50, would you know why the model is bringing the cap rate up in this situation?
I think that's what we have seen in the market in that area. We've with the sales that were tested. It seems that the market vacancy or the cap rate has decreased.
I mean, I don't care to speculate, but could this be an age thing in terms of what the model is doing here? And I noted because in the previous example, we had a 1988 property and the model predicted 5.35% in that.
Well, yeah, I'm not.
The area is very much.
I couldn't give you the specifics. I know there's some permits out on the that were taken out on the property, but I'm not sure why it's 6.5. But I do agree with you, the last cap rate on the other property was aggressive.
Okay.
I don't feel like this one is aggressive.
Okay. And you mentioned the permits that were taken out. Now there is 944,000. This is on your page 6 of your appendix.
Correct, yes.
944,500. However, the permits start in 2005.
Yeah, I just added.
So,
all of them.
This would be, this is likely that, normal wear and tear that you see over the life cycle of a building, correct?
I think there's been upkeep to bring tenants into this building.
Okay.
So there's been interior alterations.
Okay, so there have been some interior alterations, but not excessive. 73,500 in one case. Northwest Company here, that was 270,000. That is more recent. And so the rent would have been reflective of those changes, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Brent, any questions?
Yes, have you inspected this property?
No, I haven't, no. I could, let me just see my notes from the last time they were. I'm assuming the last time somebody was there is around 2017.
Thank you. That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ian, any questions?
Yes, just with respect to the actual versus effective year built, this 1958 to 1976. So I'm looking at it's got to be page 1 of your
Yes.
report, and then coupling that or comparing that with the tenant improvements or the permits taken out. That's still a 20-year effective.
Yeah, so,
versus, is it one building is 1958 and one building 1976, or is this
No,
like a
actually,
blended?
no, it's, I should have put down the blended effective age there, but if you look at page, my appendix, page 5, you'll see that one building was built in 1958.
Yep.
Another in 65 and another in 76. So I'm assuming the blended effective age would be somewhere between 65 and 76.
Okay, and when you're modeling or using the effective age and a cap rate, is there a range in the model that goes in, or is it just
The
one
model
effective?
there is an actual effective age in the model, but these briefs sometimes spit out a range. I don't know why, but I did not put down the actual.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Arif, if you turn to page 2, I've just got a question on the actual leases. 645, unit 645, 11,000 such square feet, 1150 a square foot.
Yes.
Almost an identical size 657 at 550 square feet.
Yeah, so I have some notes on that. So if you just turn to my page 4 there, the workup. So there's the pigs on the premise IDs on the different leasable areas.
Right.
So the PID 1 has an excellent rating on it. Premise ID 5101 has an excellent quality assigned to it. The next premise ID 5102 has a poor quality. So I'm assuming that one is just it's probably not as finished as well as the other one. So I'll just give you, if you want, for all the premise IDs. So the first one is excellent, second one is poor, third one is good, fourth one is excellent, and 5 is average.
Okay, so the only one that matches the lease information on page 2 is the 11,037 square foot.
Yeah, so I'm assuming when there's these interior alterations done, they're increasing and decreasing the size of the
Space.
yeah.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you very much. And Marcelo, you can proceed.
Okay. So again, this is 645 Century Street. You've had a look at the picture, I believe, in the assessor's brief, but you can look at page 6 CRs, which again, probably very similar. This is on Century Street. And the next page over, page 8. You're right, there is 3 sections. So there was a portion that was built in 1958, which was wood frame, 12 feet wall height. 1965 portion, which was 8,350 square feet, 7 feet high, and masonry wall system. And again, 1976, they're using a masonry wall system, and the height is 18 feet. Now, in terms of the effective age, I don't know. We follow, I believe, what the city says. We put an original 1968 effective age. Highest and best use is obviously the current use, and the approach that we used is the income approach. So you can see the rents that we looked at on page 12. And there is a difference in terms of the rental rates for units 657 and 645. And I believe Arif mentioned the reason, and yes, there would be a difference in terms of the tenant improvements that were made to the first unit in comparison to the second unit. So it is simply an issue of quality between the 2 units. You'll see our rental notes below, which we usually don't include in there. In this case, I have, and then we can just turn to page 23. That gives us a summary. So our rental rate is $9.97, which I believe not very much different than the assessors. I believe they came out around $10. Vacancy allowance 7%, 3.85. Management is 5%, and 2% for structural or other, giving us a net operating income of 243,573. The issue here is obviously the cap rate, and we've only adjusted it by 25 points from the last cycle, so we're at 7.25. That gives us an indicated value of $3,359,622. So our recommended value is $3,360,000 rounded. The remainder of the report is just the income and expense information that we've looked at. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much. Arif, any questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Kent, any questions?
No, I believe all my questions have been answered, Mr. Chair.
You and Ian.
No, I don't. Thank you.
And I don't have any questions. So that concludes that property. So the next one on the docket is 2310 Logan Avenue. Any preliminary issues?
No.
And Marcelo?
Nope,
No.
not at all.
And is there a recommendation on this one?
Yes.
Okay, if you want to proceed to read property into the record and then tell us about the recommendations.
Okay, so Board Revision file number 22-1415, roll number is 13096070000. Address is 2310 Logan Avenue. Roll year is 2023, reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $3,678,000. And yes, we do have a recommendation on this after discussions with the applicant. We are willing to revise our NOI and recommend assessed value of $3,400,000.
400,000 and adjusted NOI. Was it rents again?
Yes.
And Kent, do you have any, or Marcelo, do you have any questions?
I don't.
Kent, do you have any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
And Ian?
No, I don't, thank you.
And I have no questions. And Marcelo, how do you feel about the recommendation?
We'll accept it.
Thank you very much. And the last one on the docket is 199 Owens Creek Boulevard, and I understand there's a recommendation on this one.
Yes.
Let me just get to it. If you want to read the details of the property and then tell us about the recommendation.
Okay, Board Revision File Number 22-2374. Roll number is 13095313100. Address is 199 Omens Creek Boulevard. Roll year is 2023. Reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $3,695,000. And yes, we have a recommendation after discussions. We are agreeing to revise our NOI and recommend a revised assessment of $3,590,000.
And that's the rents again.
Yes.
And Marcelo, do you have any questions?
I don't.
You don't? Kent, any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
And Ian?
No, I don't have any questions, thank you.
Well, I have one question. This is what, a 1% reduction?
Yes. I was offered that.
Okay, that concludes my question. And that concludes this hearing. So let me get back to closing this off. We have heard all of the items scheduled this morning, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.